Well, we made it with one.
I will button mash for this.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Hey folks, and welcome to some more Toques of Hazzard. Today we're doing more Toque Tactics, and I'm doing again a little bit different because I'm going to be reviewing the new FAQ that came out here at the beginning of 2019. Finally managed to drop here in the last 2 days of April. They really were just getting in there at the end of April. But they stood by their word there at G-Dubs, so, gotta give it to them. So I'm going to cover a little bit right off the bat, which isn't in the Tau errata, and then I'm going to cover the Tau errata, but all of it I feel is going to be quite pertinent to our list building and our gameplay to come. So the big thing I'm going to cover right off the bat is the fact that the Castellan has gone up 100 points, and it, I believe actually it's for all Imperial Knights, can no longer have a 3-up invul save through rotate ion shields, and I believe it's a bulwark of some form. Whatever it is, they can get a 3-up invul and it can be nasty. They can no longer get that, so that's going to make Knights not as auto-include, especially not the Castellan. So that's going to mean we're going to be facing some new armies out there, which is going to be a bit nice, because Knights can be pretty dangerous, even though Tau are probably one of the few armies out there who can deal with them reasonably well. As well as this, there's the fact that aircraft are now a thing. So they have put, if you have the fly keyword and a minimum movement in any form, so if there's a large creature or vehicle that has multiple different stages and there's a minimum movement in there, or if it doesn't have multiple stages of damage and it just has, straight up a minimum movement, then it's classified as an aircraft. And if it's an aircraft, its base basically doesn't do anything anymore. Enemies can move over it, you can end your move within 1 inch of it. The only thing your base does as an aircraft is occupy the space the base is on. So it does block a little bit, but it means that you can charge through or be charged through aircraft. So it realistically, it just means for us Tau players that there's going to be less aircrafts fielded. There's going to be less of an abuse of the aircraft spam out there, which is going to be quite nice. As well as this, there has been the changes with the fly keyword and charging. So if you've got a model which does have the fly keyword, which a lot of Tau models do, and you want to charge into a unit, but there's a screen around it, you can now charge over that screen. They clarified that they more wanted the charging to be affecting the distance vertically, which fly doesn't normally get affected with, but should in a charge. So screens no longer stop flyers. So those demon princes out there are able to, if they have wings, jump over those crude screens and charge our lines. So that's something else we're going to have to keep into consideration with our castles and keeping our characters and our lines safe. Now, the final thing from the main general errata I want to bring to attention is the fact that in other phases, so in like phases, in the example they used in Overwatch, which is like the shooting phase, you actually do get the use of all of your abilities that you'd have, say, in the shooting phase, because Overwatch is like shooting. The only thing you cannot do is use stratagems that are specifically for that phase. So if we had an Ethereal, which was using Storm of Fire, that means all of our Overwatch would be rerolling 1s, which if you Tau as well, and you're going to be hitting on 5s and 6, like Tau Sept, you can be rerolling on 5s and 6s, that's actually going to be quite a potent amount of Overwatch. I mean, my main Overwatch is coming from my Riptides, which already have counterfire defense system, but I am thinking of changing it up a little bit and doing a bit more of a infantry kind of swarm, maybe with a couple of broadsides scattered throughout, maybe do more of a 18th century lineman tactic with Tau and see how that goes. Worked out well for me in 7th, didn't really at the beginning of 8th, but maybe I can fall back to it now and see how it goes. Then we also have the fact that in the Tau Codex, drones actually get 2 shots per gun with the Cadra Fireblade. They have made it clear that they meant it to be each gun, not just one model that gets affected by the extra shot from the volley fire. Now, there is another thing about volley fire, but I'll be getting into that a little bit later. We also have the fact that drones being separated from piranhas, because I'm pretty sure piranhas are the only vehicles that Tau have that can be squadronized. Do not then, if they all depart, detach from the piranhas, they don't become their own squad. They're all individual. So say you had 3 piranhas and all those piranhas dropped their drones, you would then have 3 squads of drones, not 1 squad of 6 drones. So that is something to keep in mind as well when you're running large squads of piranhas, that you may be giving away quite a lot of kill points, as well as the fact that piranhas do have low leadership. So just keep that in mind for this building as well. Firing arcs has also been clarified. That was the Overwatch, I guess, for the Tau Sept, and it has now been clarified that they do want you to have another friendly. So, sorry, not the keyword there being friendly, but another being the keyword there. A lot of us was playing it that way because we saw it pretty apparent, but there were a few who could rules lawyer it and see that it doesn't say another, it just said friendly unit, and the unit itself was a friendly unit, so they could get the 5s and 6s regardless. Well, now they've clarified that, and so you do have to have a second unit of Tau Sept next to that first unit of Tau Sept for them to be getting 5s as well as 6s. So just make sure your castles and your formations do keep that into account. Nova jumping for Riptides. This is something I didn't actually even notice, and I'm a little annoyed with myself that I didn't, but apparently before you could Nova jump your Riptide within 1 inch of an enemy, basically into close combat, without declaring a charge, so you wouldn't face the Overwatch, which would have been actually kind of useful. You could have locked up a few units here and there, but they did clarify that as that was not the intent, so you can now no longer do your boost Nova move within 1 inch of an enemy, so your other charge cannot be an actual charge, which is, it's kind of what it's meant to be, so we can get over that. Kayun has been nicely clarified as well. It means that if you do have aircraft which are Tau Sept around, they're not forced to stay put and then crash into the ground. If you were playing it that way, you now can clearly see that it's more your select units. I just always made sure I ran different attachments if I wanted those things to be moving, just in case. But now you can just pick and choose which Tau Sept units are going to be affected by the Kayun, or whichever Sept that is. And I think that's everything other than the volley fire. So volley fire is kind of up in an interesting area right now. It was pretty clearly stated how it was meant to be before, with the fact that it gives you 1 extra shot at half range. In the rules, that's pretty obvious. The FAQ then went to try and clarify what they meant by shot, not the range aspect. So the range part was never up for debate. The aspect that was up for debate was the shot, the clarification around the shot. And the FAQ wasn't changing. It is an FAQ. It's answering the question. It's not changing the rule. So when people are getting on the bandwagon of 2 shots at maximum range, 3 shots at half range, I really don't think they're meaning it that way. Again, it is an FAQ. It's an errata, yeah, and it's meant to answer questions, but it wasn't a rule that got changed in the FAQ. It was a question that got answered, which then, through its answer, led to a bit of ambiguity. But even through that ambiguity, it is only the FAQ part, it's not the errata of the rule. So I feel that we really have to look into that as the key aspect, and I'm pretty sure it does even say at the beginning of the general FAQ in the 40k rulebook that the FAQ part is more as a guideline, it's more to give you an example, it's not an actual rule itself. So it's just to help you understand what the rule means. So with that all said and done, please feel free to let me know if there is anything I have missed, because that can happen. Feel free to comment in the sections down below, and share this video around if you feel like other people can use this knowledge as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Have a great week, and bye for now.